All right, it's Robbie Cornelius, and you're looking at one of the top income earners in the United States. Now, if you want to be in the top percent of income earners in the United States, this video is definitely for you. This is for people that are making under six figures a year, okay? If you're making under six figures a year, this video is for you. You want to pay attention to this. When you think about the elite, as everybody want to call people that make a lot of money, oh, look at the elite. The elite are doing this. The elite are doing that. First of all, if you continue to refer to people that make a lot of money as the elite, then you'll probably never be one until you start considering yourself to be an elite. Okay. Second of all, it probably doesn't take as much money as you think it takes in order for you to be, let's just say, in the top 10% of all income earners in America. Now, I want you to think about this. Top 10% of all income earners in America. That means that far more people are broke, or let's just say not making a lot of money, then there are people that are making a lot of money. And a little bit of money and a lot of money are relative. If I go stand next to Grant Cardone or Bill Gates, then I'm making a little bit of money. But if I go stand right next to 90% of the people in America, then I make a lot of money. So a little bit of money and a lot of money are all relative. Okay. There's levels to this thing. But if you want to be in the top 10% of all income earners in the United States and you haven't hit six figures yet, then stick around because I'm about to break it down. Now, again, it doesn't take as much money as you think it takes in order for you to get in the top 10% of all income earners in America. I'm going to turn my head to this computer here. And to be in the top 10% of all income earners in America, I want you to close your eyes for a second. And I want you to get an image of the United States in your mind and imagine all the people in the United States. And as you imagine all the people in the United States, I want you to imagine that you're God and you take your hand and you drop it down into a crowd of people and you scoot 90% of the people in America over here to the side. And then you take your right hand and you scoop 10% over people over there to the right. Okay. You got the 90s and you got the 10s. Which side do you want to be on? Now, the 90 is more crowded, okay? The 90 is what I call skepticism land. These are the people that are always talking about the Illuminati. These are the people that are calling the 10 percenters, oh, they sold their soul to the devil. That's why they're winning. If that's you, then you're probably going to die on the 90%. And I know that sounds sucky and it is a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. As long as you demonize something, you're probably not going to become that thing because you don't want to see yourself as a demon. Now, you got to get outside of your own mind. The reason why you haven't hit six figures yet, at least, is because you haven't made a decision to hit six figures yet. And because you haven't made a decision to hit six figures yet, then you have not taken the necessary action that will cause you to hit those six figures. So before we get into all of that, I want to break it down by percentages and tell you that just in order to be in the top 10% of all income earners in America, you only need to make $173,000 a year. Now I'm going to pull out my calculator here and I'm going to take $173,000 and I'm going to divide that by 365 days out of the year. So that means that on average, in order to hit, that $173,000 a year, you need to be making an average of $474 per day, 365 days per week. And I know you might be thinking, man, I don't even get paid that a week. Okay, some people don't even get paid that a week. So let's take that $473 and let's multiply that by, let's just say, four weeks out of the month. So $1,800 is what most people are bringing home a lot of times. And if that, I don't know, it's been a long time. But so you got to go through this mindset shift where you have to start asking yourself, how can I take my weekly income and make that my daily income? This is how I start breaking everything down to the ridiculous. Okay. So when I started breaking everything down to the ridiculous by the day, it was easier for me to hit that six figures because I used to look at six figures and get intimidated by it because I thought about this big number that I never hit before that I had to make by the end of the year. But when I broke it down to the ridiculous, because you can hit six figures before you hit that $173,000 a year mark, but you won't be in the top 10%. For me, it was important to be in the top 10% at least. But let's just say that your first goal is $100,000 a year. So you take $100,000 a year and you divide that by 365 days out of the year. That means that you only need to make $273 per day, 365 days a year. Now you might be saying to yourself, Robbie, that's unrealistic because how are you going to make almost $300 a day? How are we going to do that when most people are only working 5 or 6 days out of the week? How are we going to make money, that much money, working 6 days a week? Most importantly, how am I going to make that much money working for anybody? That's the key. You probably won't make that much money working for anybody. That's why you're not in the top 10%. Because here's what happens. Um, you know, People who have not hit that top 10% yet, a lot of times, these are people that are working for people. There are also people in the top 10% that, are working for a company as well, but these are high income earners in the company. They know more things than the average person knows in that company. But I'm talking about the average person. The reason why the average person hasn't hit that top 10% mark yet is because they have a job. And it's going to be harder for the average person to hit the top 10% with a job. It's just harder. Even if you do it, you got to go through school, you got to get all these degrees, you got to do all of these other different things in order to even qualify yourself for a job that will pay you that much money. So, and even with that, you're going to be trading your time for it. So, one of the first tips I want to give you is that, you know, when you settle for the illusion of job security, you also, settle for the illusion of a guaranteed paycheck. This is why people like me that own companies can pay you more because we're essentially guaranteeing you the paycheck. See, guarantees come with lower incomes a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times. For instance, as an entrepreneur, technically when I started out, I didn't have a guaranteed paycheck. Okay. I was taking on more risk than the average person. I wasn't guaranteed to be paid weekly or even monthly sometimes. But I was willing to take that risk because I knew that if I became successful as an entrepreneur, there was no limit to the money that I can make. So I'm like, you know what? I know how it looks and feels to settle for the illusion of a guaranteed paycheck. And I'm using that word illusion very consciously because it is an illusion. You're not guaranteed a paycheck like you think you are. Okay. Now, I don't want to make this only about entrepreneurship because again, you can make $173,000 a year in a job, but I mean, I don't know how you're going to do that, but some people are doing it apparently. So, what I would do for the average person, I would say, listen, if you want to get in that top 10%, which is $173,000 a year at least, or let's just say 174, you have to start investing and or building and or buying businesses. Because being an investor or buying a business or starting a business makes you more likely to hit that $173,000 a year mark than any other route when it comes to working for somebody. It's true. So what am I getting at here? In layman's terms, you might want to consider either becoming an investor if you're not a good business owner, because everybody isn't meant to be an entrepreneur. But you got to start taking a portion of the income that you are already making and asking yourself, what type of companies can you invest in so you can become an investor? Or if you have a little bit of money saved, or if you are creative in how you approach this scenario, you could buy companies that are already profitable. Okay. And if you're not able to do that, then you're going to have to start a company on your own. And for me, I didn't have any money to invest. I didn't have any money or knowledge about buying a business. So I had to do the last one, which was start a business. I had to learn how to start my own business. And it was tough, but it was the easiest entry for me to get into that 6-figure mark, because, it took $100 to file my LLC. It took another, what, 30, $40 to get my business license. I built my own website, and the company that I started was online. So, under $200, I was in business, and everything else was icing on top of the cake, because it only took me like $200 to start the business. So anyway, if you want to get in that top 10%, which I think will make you feel accomplished for a while, for a year, it'll probably make you feel accomplished, but then you'll get used to that. But let's just say you want to get in at $76,000 a year mark. What you want to do is you take that number and you divide it by 365 days out the year. Now, I know you're not going to be working 365 days out the year, but hopefully, if you start a business, you'll get smart enough to start putting together systems, online systems, because that's what I teach, that can make money for you while you work, play, eat, and sleep. So when you do that, you're going to come up with $482, okay? $482. So this is what you do. You ask yourself, okay, $482 on average in the beginning, how much time am I willing to spend working if I knew I had the potential to make $482 a day? So most of you guys who have full-time jobs, you're already working 8 hours a day anyway, right? So at least you can say, okay, I'm willing to work 8 hours a day to make my business work, at least, because I'm already giving somebody else 8 hours a day. I might as well give my business 8 hours a day. So what you'll do is I'll take that $482 per day, and you want to divide that by 8 hours per day. So now you know that you need to at least find a way to make $60.25 per hour for 8 hours a day. Or breaking it down, making it seem even more simple in your mind, you want to figure out what can you sell that will cause you to profit at least $60.25 at least 8 times a day. And when you start breaking it down like that, you start making the goal bite sized. And if you want to even make it, if you want to make it even more bite sized, okay, ask yourself, what type of products and services can you offer that would cause you to make at least a $60.25 profit? Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you an answer to one of those. If you want to make a $60.25 profit on average, okay, you can do a lot of things. But what I first started out doing when I officially launched a company was I went from, when I was just flipping products on Amazon, I went from the product space to the service space. Because with a service-based company, all you're doing is essentially trading something that you're doing for somebody for some money. So essentially, there's no inventory to invest in, which is going to, the inventory a lot of times eats into a person's capital. So I would try to figure out what type of service can I offer somebody that they would be willing to pay me at least $60 for. Because if you're offering a service, you don't have to worry about the profit margin, because the money they pay you 9 times out of 10, especially if it's an online service that you're providing, is going to be the profit margin. So when you think about it like that and make it bite-sized, that's when you start wrapping your mind around the fact that, oh, although I've never hit 6 figures yet, I see how possible it is, because I've broken it down by the day. I've broken it down by how much money I need to make every single day. And I've broken it down by the hours that I'm willing to put in to make this work in the beginning. And the cool thing about it is you might be saying, I don't have another 8 hours to work. I'm already working for this other company for 8 hours a day. You do have 8 hours. It's just that you spend it jerking off, or you spend it watching Netflix, or you spend it watching football, or you spend it on TikTok. You spend it anyway. But instead of doing all those things, you can cut all those things out, at least for temporary, and you can dedicate 8 hours. So 8 hours a day, let's say you're working at your job for, 8 hours. So you're working at your job for 8 hours. All right. And then you're working on your company for 8 hours. That still gives you another, 8 hours to sleep. So you can still sleep. Or if you're like me, sleep 5 hours, and that way you can still have a little free time to watch your Netflix or whatever, right? So you can do it if you put your mind to it. Now, to be in the top 5% of all income earners in America, you only need to be making $342,000 a year. So most of you guys think that you have to be a millionaire to be in the top percent of income earners in America. And I just told you that just to be in the entry of the top 10% income earners, all you need to make is $173 per $173,000 per year. Okay. And to be in the top 5% of all income earners in America, you only need to make $342,000 a year. So you'll be in the top 5%, those that you call the Illuminati, you'll be in the top 5% just making $343,000 a year. We haven't even talked about millions yet. So you might be saying, okay, well, how much does it take to be in the top 1%? Now, here you go. You might think, oh, to be in the top 1% of all income earners in America, I need to at least be making $1.2 million a year. No, you don't. You only need to be making, let me pull it up here, $823,000 a year to be in the top 1% of all income earners in America. So as you see, the whole myth about needing to be a millionaire is just what it is. You don't need to be a millionaire, because some of you guys have found a way to live good on $40,000 a year. And $40,000 a year, I think, is what, the 40,000, yeah, 40. If you have, so based on the FPL, which is the federal poverty level, okay, if you have at least 7 people in your household, and you bringing in 2022, and you're bringing in $41,910 a year, then you're on the poverty list. You know what I mean? So some of you guys are finding a way to make that work, because you got a lot of kids and you're only making 40-some thousand dollars a year, and you think you're doing good. Just imagine if you scaled it up and start making $350,000 a year. Now you're going to be in a better position, because you're earning more money. Now, earning more money doesn't mean more money doesn't mean that you're going to be well off, better financially, because you still got to learn how to manage the money. Sometimes you can get yourself in trouble making more money. But this is just for people that want to learn how to make more money. You can make more money, and you can do it on the internet. Now, the 6 ways that I always tell people about that they can make money on the internet is my formula that I call eSpace. That's education, that's services, that's products, affiliate, content creation, and entertainment. With those 6 categories right there, you can make money on the internet, but you have to be clever and strategic about how you go about getting attention, because the internet is really based off of attention. If you can create some content or something, if you can run advertisement, you got to find a way to get attention, because when you get attention, you're getting in front of people. And when you get in front of people, if you have something that they find valuable, a product or service, they're going to buy it from you. And the internet is one of the best ways to do it, because you can hit that $174,000 a year. You can hit that $174,000 a year if you have a good online presence, and it'll run for you on autopilot while you work, play, eat, and sleep. How do I know that? Because I'm living proof of it. Okay. So I just want you to think about that. That's how you get into the top percent of all income earners in the United States. You break it down by the ridiculous, and then you ask yourself, okay, if I want to hit this, income for 2023, how much money do I need to make per day? You break it down by the day. Then you ask yourself, okay, how many hours am I willing to put in the beginning to to make that amount of money? Now, you will, if you're smart, you'll get to a point where you don't have to work that much. But in the beginning, because you've been trained to trade time for money, you're going to probably take that into this business that you start. You're going to start trading your time for money. And eventually, if you're wise enough, you'll start understanding that you're basically just another paid employee, but you just happen to own a company. So you'll get smart enough to say, okay, how can I pull myself out of, doing the work? And how can I just put myself in a position to be the business owner, aka the system owner? When you have a system, that's when the money starts working for you instead of you working for the money. It's Robbie Cornelius. I appreciate you. Get in that top 10%. Leave the 90 behind. So, and let me tell you one more thing. In order to get in the top 10%, think about it. Most people are consumers. 90% of the people primarily consume and 10% of the people produce. You got to leave the consumers and come over here to the producers and then sell back to the consumers. All right. Master yourself, like, comment, subscribe, master your mind, and don't be afraid to make money online.